What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai style guide, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the upcoming 3.2 first half character being Castorice. So this video I'm going to be taking you over her kit and Eidolons, including the skills of the Memosprite. Then I'll be taking you over some Lightcones, followed by that will be Relics and Ornaments, and then finally the Mainstat and Substat recommendations. I plan on having a full build guide for every character that is new and returning in 3.2 throughout the course of this week. As you were now watching the Castorice guide, there will soon be one for Fugue, soon one for Jiaoqiu, and soon one for Acheron. Followed by those three, there will finally be one for Noxa, and for Dr. Ratio, I will actually not be doing one as I already did make a guide previously for Dr. Ratio as a 2025 build guide. So I want to say, before I get into the video, if you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, drop a like, would be greatly appreciated. If you're new or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for future videos like this along with all other types of style content, and let's get straight into the video. The Castorice is a quantum character following the path of remembrance. Her basic attack deals quantum damage equal to 50% of Castorice's max HP to one designated enemy. Her skill consumes 30% of all allies' current HP, deals quantum damage equal to 50% of Castorice's max HP to one designated enemy, and quantum damage equal to 30% of Castorice's max HP to adjacent targets. If current HP is insufficient, this ability will reduce HP to 1. If Netherwing is on the battlefield, the skill becomes Boneclaw Doomdrake Embrace instead. Her ultimate summons the Memosprite Netherwing and advances its action by 100%. At the same time, creates the territory Lost Netherland, which decreases all enemies all type res by 20%. If the damage boost effect from Castorice's talent is active, this effect is extended to Netherwing. Netherwing has an initial speed of 165 and has a set max HP equal to 100% of max Newbud. After Netherwing experiences 3 turns or when its HP is at 0, it disappears and dispels the territory Lost Netherland. And as the kit does say, her skill does get enhanced if Netherwing is on the field. And what that enhanced skill does is consumes 40% of all allies except Netherwing's current HP. Castorice and Netherwing launch a joint attack on the target and deal quantum damage equal to 30% and 50% of Castorice's max HP to all enemies. And if current HP is insufficient, ability will reduce HP to 1. For talent, max Newbud is based on all characters' levels on the battlefield. For each point of HP lost by all allies, Castorice gains a point of Newbud. When Newbud reaches its maximum, Castorice's ultimate can be used. When allies lose HP, Castorice and Netherwing's damage increases by 20% and stacks up to 3 times and lasts for 3 turns. When Netherwing is on the field, Newbud cannot be gained through the talent, and HP lost by all allies except Netherwing will be converted to an equal amount of HP for Netherwing. For technique, after using technique, enters the Netherveil state that lasts for 20 seconds. While Netherveil is active, enemies are unable to approach Castorice on their own. While in the Netherveil state, attacking will cause all enemies within range to enter combat. At the same time, summons the Memosprite Netherwing and causes it to advance its action by 100%, as well as create its territory Lost Netherland. Netherwing starts with current HP equal to 50% of max Newbud. After end-check battle, consumes 40% of all allies' current HP aside from Netherwing. After end-check battle and before summoning Netherwing, Castorice gains Newbud equal to 30% of maximum Newbud. And for the first unique passive in this game being her global passive, what that global passive does is after you do obtain Castorice or when she is on the current team, receive the following effect. In battle, when an allied character receives a killing blow, all allied characters that received a killing blow in that action will enter the Moon Cocoon state, and in that state, temporarily will delay becoming downed and can take actions normally. After the action, if their present HP increases or they gain a shield effect before their next turn, Moon Cocoon is removed, otherwise they will be down immediately and can trigger 1 time per battle. Now going on to the Memosprite. The Memosprite skill deals quantum damage equal to 40% of Castorice's max HP to all enemies. Memosprite's talent is when the Netherwing is on the field. It acts as a backup for allies. When allies take damage or consumes HP, their current HP can be reduced to a minimum of 1, after which Netherwing will consume HP at 500% of the original value until Netherwing disappears. A support that the Memosprite does provide is when the Memosprite is summoned, increases damage dealt by all allies by 10% for 3 turns. And then for the main thing, the big AoE skill it does have is activating Breath Scorches the Shadow will consume 25% of Netherwing's max HP to deal quantum damage equal to 24% of Castorice's max HP to all enemies. In one attack, Breath Scorches the Shadow can be activated repeatedly, with the damage multiplier increasing respectively to 28%/34% until 34%. The damage multiplier boost effect will not be reduced before Netherwing disappears. When Netherwing's current HP is equal to or lower than 25% of its max HP, activating the ability will reduce its HP to 1 and then trigger the ability effect equal to the talent Wing Sweeps the Runes. What Wing Sweeps the Ruins does is, when Netherwing disappears, deals 6 instances of damage, with every instance dealing quantum damage equal to 40% of Castorce's max HP to 1 random enemy units. At the same time, restores HP equal to 6% of Castorce's max HP, plus 800 to all allies. For her bonus abilities, her A2, after the ally targets excluding Netherwing receive healing, converts 100% of the healed value into New Blood. If Netherwing is on the battlefield, the healing is instead converted to Netherwing's HP. The converted value for each ally target cannot exceed 12% of New Blood's maximum limit. Accumulated conversion value from all units resets after any unit takes action. For A4, when Castorce's current HP is greater or equal to 50% of this unit's max HP, her speed increases by 40%. When Netherwing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow and deals fatal damage to all enemies on the field or brings them to a point where they cannot lose more HP, Netherwing's speed increases by 100% for 1 turn. And her A6, each time Netherwing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow, increases its damage up by 30%, that stacks up to 6 times and lasts until the end of the turn. And finally, for her Eidolons, her E1, when the enemy target's current HP is 80%/50% or lower than this unit's max HP, the damage dealt by Bone Claw, Doom Drake's Embrace, Claw Splits the Veil, and Breath Scorches the Shadow, and Wing Sweep the Ruins is 120%/140% of the original damage. Her E2, after summoning Memosprite and Netherwing, Castorce gains 2 stacks of Ardent Will. A maximum of 2 stacks of Ardent Will can be possessed at any given time, and can be used to offset Netherwing's HP consumption when using Memosprite's skill, Breath Scorches the Shadow, while advancing Castorce's action by 100%. In the next usage of the enhanced skill, Castorce gains 30% of maximum New Blood points. Her E4, while Castorce is on the battlefield, all allies' incoming healing increases by 20% when having their HP restored. And her E6, when Castorce or Netherwing deals damage, increases Quantum Rest Pen by 20%. When Netherwing attacks, it can ignore Weakness type and directly reduce enemy toughness. When it inflicts Weakness Break, triggers the Quantum Weakness Break effect. Additionally increases the bounce count for Netherwing's talent, Wing Sweeps the Ruins by 3 times. Taking a look at some Lightcone options for Castorice, her best one is obviously going to be her old signature Lightcone, which gives her a 30% increase to max HP, and when the wearer or their Memosprite loses HP during their own turn, the wearer gains Death Flower, which allows the wearer and their Memosprite to ignore 30% of the target's defense when dealing damage for 2 turns. When the wearer's Memosprite disappears, it advances the wearer's action by 12% and can only trigger 1 time, and the trigger count resets every time the wearer uses ultimate. So the reason this Lightcone is so good as it first gives you 30% max HP for free. Castorice is a HP scaling DPS, and so giving you up to a 30% increase right away is really good, especially because it's unconditional and you have it throughout the rest of the time of her just having it in battle. It's going to increase your damage by a good amount just alone with a 30% max HP. And on top of that, wearer or Memosprite losing HP, that's her whole gimmick of HP draining. And she herself and also the Memosprite constantly do lose HP from the way you do use them. So very, very often she always has 30% defense ignore when dealing damage, which is a very, very big amount. And if you pair this with any other sources of defense ignore, it becomes so much stronger on its own. Just because the higher value of defense ignore, the better it does become. And then finally, the wearer does gain a 12% action advance, which is going to be good because Castorice's summon does actually self-destruct, and because it self-destructs in battle quite often, you're going to pretty frequently actually notice the extra 12% action it does give. And with correct tunings, this can actually let you get another turn right away, which is going to let you drain HP faster and get your New Blood points even faster, which is why her signature Lightcone is far and none her best option. Another really good option is actually going to be the Battle Pass Lightcone, which is called Sweat Now Cry Less, which gives a 12% increase to crit rate, and when the wearer's Memosprite is on the field, increases the damage dealt by the wearer and their Memosprite by 24%. You can't really S5 this right now, but when you are able to, it's a 20% increase to crit rate with a 36% increase to damage dealt by the wearer and their Memosprite. This is just unconditional stats. You get 20% crit rate, which is going to remove a lot of any need you would have in your rolls, especially when you combine this with having the Poet set and then other crit rate buffs. It's going to make it very, very easy to have high crit rate in battle despite not having many rolls. And you also get a 36% increase to damage dealt, which is going to be really good because once the Memosprite is on the field, that's when Castorice's main damage does happen because the dragon is attacking, and that is again the main source of damage, which is also just going to get a free 36% increase to damage dealt, which is why the Battle Pass Lightcone is another great option to use. Now, unfortunately, you are practically not working with any other option beside her signature and then the Battle Pass Lightcone. Her Lightcone options are one of the most limited options that we do have in the game, if not the most limited option, because she literally just has those two. Every other Lightcone doesn't really provide much, and the best thing you can do is to use a Lightcone that won't even work on her, that just has the highest base HP. I'm going to flash the highest 5-star Lightcones right here. These are the Lightcones with the highest base HP at 5 stars. So if you have any of these that are not being used, which is going to be hard because practically all of them are limited except the Bailu one, you can go ahead and put that on her. And here are the best 4-star ones. If you have any of these and you don't have any of the 5-star options free or just don't own them in general, then you can use these ones. And unfortunately, those are your only other options until we do finally get more free Remembrance Lightcones. Very, very hard to build around if you are a free-to-play player and you don't buy the Battle Pass and you won't have enough pulls for the actual Lightcone. Unfortunately, that is the world we do have to live with right now. So let's pray we do actually get good Lightcones for her soon. Taking a look at some relic sets for Castorice, her best in slot is actually going to be 4-piece of the Poet set, which the 2-piece gives you 10% quantum damage, and the 4-piece decreases the wearer's speed by 8%. Before entering battle, if the wearer's speed is lower than 110/95, increases the wearer's crit rate by 20%/32%, and also applies to the wearer's Memosprite. She's actually able to make use of the 2-piece because she does deal quantum damage, and you don't build her with practically any speed, and with the lower speed, you do get below 95, which is going to allow you to get the full 32% crit rate increase, assuming you don't have enough speed rolls on your relics that would actually grief that. So the extra 32% crit rate to her and her Memosprite is super good because that's going to be a big portion, especially because she also does get crit rate from her traces. A lot of her best teammates have other sources of crit rate. It's going to allow you to allocate so much more into her HP and crit damage stats, which is going to be very good for her damage. And since she's able to just make use of all this, again, 2-piece quantum damage increase, not being built with any speed, so before going to battle you will have lower than 95 speed, giving you 32% crit rate for your actual Castorice and the Memosprite, allowing you to allocate so many more sets to crit damage and HP for more overall damage, makes this her best in slot that you can use. Another thing that may seem a bit odd but actually can work is 4-piece of the hero set. Unfortunately, 2-piece is useless because it gives attack and she does not scale off attack, but it's for the 4-piece, which when the wearer's Memosprite is on the field, increases the wearer's speed by 6%, that part's whatever. But it's for the last part where when the wearer's Memosprite attacks, increases the wearer's and the Memosprite's crit damage by 30% for 2 turns. Most relic sets in the game, practically all of them, are not actually with Memosprites in mind because they weren't out for the longest time. So this relic set actually providing something with the last effect actually makes it an option you can use. A lot less desirable than Poet set, obviously, because Poet set is just perfect for her, but it is an option you can use. The speed, again, is a bit wasted. The attack is unfortunately very wasted, but it does give you up to a 30% increase to crit damage for both Castorice and the Memosprite, which is one of the only relic sets that would be doing that, which is why a hero 4-piece is definitely an option you can use in the meantime. Another option that is actually pretty powerful is 4-piece of the Genius set, which 2-piece gives 10% quantum damage as well, and the 4-piece, when wear deals damage to target enemy, it ignores 10% defense, and if the target does have quantum weakness, additional 10% defense ignore. So up to a 20% defense ignore is going to be good. Again, you pair this with other sources such as our Lightcone, Sunday E1, so on and so forth. The defense ignore being added up is going to be very noticeable. Still not as strong as the Poet set, but it's definitely an option you can use since this has been a relic set that's been in the game since launch. If you do have good pieces laying around while you do farm a Poet set, this set definitely does suffice very well. Again, especially if you have other sources of defense ignore, making GD set another good option you can use. Another option you can use is the 4-piece of the max HP set, which 2-piece provides 12% max HP, and the 4-piece, when the wearer is hit or has their HP consumed by an ally or themselves, gains 8% crit rate for 2 turns and 2 stacks, so up to a 16% increase to crit rate. The 2-piece is increasing her max HP, which is where her damage scales off of, so that's really good on its own. And it's very easy to actually get the stack up here because Castorice does consume everyone's HP, including herself, so she is able to actually stack up the crit rate increase. So getting up to a 16% increase to crit rate is nice. It's, again, less than the Poet set, but it is still a powerful set you can use because everything it provides is very nice. Past that, it is just combining 2-piece, so you can combine 2-piece of one of the quantum sets, so 2-piece Genius or 2-piece Poet, and do 2-piece of the max HP set, or you can combine one of those and do 2-piece Scholar for the 8% crit rate. Since crit rate is still a nice stat to get some rolls on, especially in this case where you are not having 4-piece Poet, so the extra 8% can be very helpful. And unfortunately past that, that's all you really got. So 2-piece Poet or Genius, both the quantum sets and 2-piece max HP, or 2-piece of one of those with 2-piece Scholar. When it comes to Planar Ornaments, her best in slot is going to be the new Bone set, which gives 12% max HP, and when the wearer's max HP is 5,000 or higher, increases the wearer and their Memosprite's crit damage by 28%. So a free 12% crit rate, so a free 12% increase to max HP is good. And Castorice, a mainly well-built Castorice, is definitely going to have higher than 5,000 max HP. So this ornament just provides you a free 28% increase to crit damage. And it also does apply to the Memosprite, so that's another very big plus side. So just more damage overall, so you combine this with already getting a bunch of crit rate sources from the poet set and so on, which makes crit damage a lot more valuable in these actual effects, which is why the bone set is your best in slot. Another really good option is the Ban Amusement set, which increases the wearer's crit damage by 16%. When a target summoned by the wearer is on the field, crit damage just increases by 32%. So a free unconditional 16% increase to crit damage. And once you do actually get her summoned on the field, so at the beginning of the battle with her technique, or once you do cycle it with her ultimate, you get an additional 32%, giving you up to a 48% increase to crit damage. So just a free increase to crit damage you would get by just having this on. Not as good as the bone set, but is still a very fine substitute, and unfortunately that is practically all of the options she does have. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, for the most part, you will be using crit damage, especially because she has the best sources of crit rate from her traces, especially if you have 4-piece of the poet set, which is again her best in slot. If you have other buffs such as the RMC E1, Sunday buff, so on, she already has a bunch of access to crit rate, so crit damage body is definitely going to be the way to go. But if you have very good crit damage rolls and have practically no crit rate rolls, then you could opt to do crit rate body, but that's going to be very rare. So in most cases, crit damage will be the one you do. For the feat, you want to run HP %. For the orb, you mainly want to do quantum damage because you will usually have enough max HP. But if you don't have a good quantum orb, you can also run HP %. And then for the link up, you want to run HP %. For the substats, it's pretty much your generic crit DPS rolls, but instead of attack, it's HP in this case. So more crit damage, you want to get more crit rate, so you at least hit closest you can to 100%. If you can hit 100%, that's fantastic. Or just at least get as close as possible. And then obviously more HP is going to be welcome because that's where she does scale off of. So once again, more crit rate to get closer to 100%, more crit damage for more damage, and then more HP will also further increase her damage. Yep, that is the full build guide for Castorice. Hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, drop a like, would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all the types of star content. Yep, peace out.